Welcome to the CAC meeting. My name is Robin Weckerly and I am the CAC chair. I just wanted to give a brief introduction of the CAC board. We have Jennifer Yates, who is our communications officer. We have Courtney Stewart, who is our secretary, and Sam Holdren is having a family emergency, so she is not able to be here. She might be watching on YouTube. But I wanted to hand it over to Dr. Simon to introduce the district staff.
So welcome everybody on this lovely Wednesday evening. I first want to, I see some very wonderful faces, but I also see our board president, Madam President, Diana Craighead. Thank you for being here. Board member Megan Kerr, and also our wonderful superintendent, Dr. Jill Baker. Thank you so much for being here. I don't see any other assistant supes or board members. And we also have our special education administrators. We have our director of special education here, Dr. Rachel Heenan, and then some wonderful guests as well. And I know that Robin will introduce our guest a little bit later on, but as always, it's a pleasure to be with all of you.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you. So we're gonna start our meeting off with special education updates, and Dr. Simon and Dr. Heenan are gonna go over these. I think we should start our meetings every time now with the latest breaking news of the district, because everything kind of changes so fast. So this is today's update, and we hopefully will be able to have time for just maybe one or two questions. So be sure to raise your hand. You know what, I just wanted to check real quick to make sure that the Spanish translation is working on the Zoom. Is there anybody who is using it who can maybe give me a thumbs up? Anybody? I don't see anybody. Okay, well, if you do need the Spanish translation, there is that option. And Mr. Itzon, can you remind people how they can join this translation if they need it?
Yes, let me share my screen. We have all the info up.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay. Oh, sorry. There we go. Perfect. So here's the information down here. That's the call-in number and then the code.
Okay, so they'll call in on Zoom. Okay, great.
And then if they want to speak during the meeting and need translation, that translator Milvy will stop and translate for them in real time on the Zoom as well.
Okay, awesome. I just want to make sure that that's set up. Okay, great. And go ahead, Dr. Simon.
All right, so hopefully you were able to see the board presentation that took place last Wednesday. And at that time, I spoke about our phasing in of our students with disabilities back into the fold. And we started with just some conversations around phase one and some things that we're doing right now at Buffalo Total Learning Center with their preschool assessment center, which is a pilot for in-person assessments. And that began on September 28th. I am happy to say that it's started and it's very successful thus far. We have not had any issues. We are abiding by our protocols and processes and protocols that our staff at the Preschool Assessment Center put together. And so for us, we are hoping, just based on guidance that we received from our updated guidance from the governor's office, as well as the California Department of Education, the California Department of Public Health, and also our local public health officials, to also begin phasing in small cohorts of our students with disabilities. And when I say small cohorts, that's 12 students to 2 adults in a cohort. And also with the cohort, it cannot be, or the student body, it has to be less than, or 10%, excuse me, of the overall student population. We are working with that, but after our preschool assessments, we're going to phase in with our elementary assessments. If that all goes well, we're going to phase in with our secondary assessments. And then after the secondary assessments, we're going to phase in the in-person services and also hopefully those small cohorts. And I want families to understand phasing in students, right? under guidance from the governor, very small groups of students. It is very difficult just because you have to ensure that you have the proper safety protocols and policies, and you have to the best of your ability, keep your students and staff safe. So we are collaborating with again, our public health officials. We're collaborating with our district offices. Also, transportation is involved. So that's another layer as far as the safety and protocols and procedures that we have to follow. So we're working through this process, and again, alongside our local public health officials to do this in a very safe way. So what I can tell parents is I know that you received information last week. I believe that came out of the public information office, and from Chris Eftigue, which advised and communicated even more so about the presentation and what our intentions are as far as the school district. And just know that even with our guidance that we're receiving, it is changing at a very frequent rate. So next week may be something different. In 2 weeks, something different may come from these offices. So we also have to keep on top of what our public health officials and what our governor's office is stating as well. But please rest assured that we are working on this. We're working on this every single day. We're working on it diligently in groups. We're looking at numbers, again, safety protocols. So we will have more information very soon in regards to the next phases, and of course, where we are within those phases as well. Dr. Heenan, did you want to share anything?
Yeah, no,
Add to, change?
no, no, perfect. So yeah, and that's just something I just want to stress is that we are working day and night on the phase in of these plans for both assessment and small cohorts. And again, our focus is on bringing back students who cannot successfully access the curriculum virtually. So students who are struggling and our most, our students who have the most needs, those are the students that we're going to phase in first. And that's where our focus will be. But we are developing a plan and, multi phases of bringing, all our students back who need to be back as soon as possible. So just wanted to just reiterate what Dr. Simon says is this is something that we are, our heart is day and night focused on it. And we're just waiting, like she said, from, public health, from Long Beach and LA County and also the state. And just as we start planning and, to roll out something, we'll get hit with additional information from public health, which makes us pivot and have to switch plans. So we understand and we empathize. We're going to get these plans rolling as soon as we're able to. So thanks for your patience and understanding.
And I want to say this too, Robin. I truly thank the parents who have emailed, who have called, of course, in support, but also who have questions around this. And, I don't want to say I do apologize that we can't answer some of those questions in its entirety just because we don't have all the answers. And this is where we're working with our public health officials just to make sure that we get it right, just because it's so complex. And also for our families to understand that, there were two presentations, in short, they were presented last Wednesday, and I don't want parents to get confused by the two presentations. So Dr. Brown spoke to the TK through second waiver that was sent out through LA County. I know we're being advised, by the Long Beach Health Department in regards to even how to do that. But the TK through second waiver is not the same as the phasing in. They're two separate issues or two separate kind of program distinction. So I want our families to know that too, that they're two separate issues. So when you hear us speaking about phasing in of our students with disabilities, it's not the same as the TK through second waiver. Thanks, Robin.
That's really good. I think it was confusing that the presentations were back to back. Does anybody have any questions? We don't have much time, but if anybody has a question, I think, Ms. Spencer, that Dr. Simon answered your question in the chat. Okay. Just to be clear, there's no dates and there's no times, and this is just a plan and moving forward. And I think that that's important to know, and it's hard to hear, but that is what it is. I see
Yes,
this
ma'am.
question here: how will progress reports be provided? First, oh, I don't think this is about opening. Okay, maybe somebody can, district staff can answer that question in the chat. But we're going to move on to our presentation today. I did get a couple, I think it's been a little while since we had a what is CAC flyer go out. And a lot of people sort of been asking, like, what is CAC? And I just wanted to briefly remind people that the CAC, the Community Advisory Committee, is a state mandated district parent group that that is intended to provide parent trainings, to provide support to parents, but it's also to provide feedback to the district. And so this is very much what we are doing right now. And I want everybody to just hold tight through the process, because we're doing this from a distance and it can get a little tricky, but the presenters we have today are going to hold our hands through it. So I just wanted to thank and introduce Mr. Robert Tagorda, Dr. Lucy Salazar. Chris Itzon is going to be running some of the plays, and also Renee Arcus. So thank you, welcome, and here we go.
Thank you, Robin, for that introduction, and thank you to Dr. Simon and Dr. Heenan for speaking before us. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Itzon, who's going to be moderating, to share a screen. And what we have for you is a slide deck. Again, if you are with us on the Zoom, in the blue box, or I'm sorry, in the blue text, it shares with you how to access interpreting in Spanish. So again, hello, my name is, hello and good evening. My name is Lucy Salazar, and I'm the Director of Organizational Equity and Engagement. I'm also the Executive Director for the Long Beach Education Foundation. And I wanna thank Robin, Dr. Simon, for allowing us and inviting us to speak today. I wanna say hello to all the Zoom participants. I know there's several of us on here, but additionally, I wanna say hello to all our friends who are watching on live stream YouTube. So thank you for engaging with us today. As you mentioned, Robin, we do have a team that's presenting today. And so I would like to introduce them and their titles that they serve and why they're here with us today. And so we do have Mr. Robert Tagorda, and he's a Director of Equity Access, College and Career Readiness. We have Renee Arcus, and she's the Executive Director of Fiscal Services. We also have Yumi, who is also on our team, and she is the Chief Business Officer of Financial Services. And so she couldn't be here tonight, but we are also very thankful to her and her guidance. So as we begin, I want to welcome everyone who is an LBUSD parent, staff, and community members. Mr. Itzon, if you can go to the third slide where it has in our agenda. Thank you. The next one. Thank you. Perfect. So it's important that as we, for you to understand what our time together would look like and feel like, and like Robin said, it's going to go a little slow at points, but it's all purposeful. There is a process, and we're here today because we want to engage with you around the budget. We want to hear your feedback, your thoughts, your great thinking around the budget, particularly as it pertains to the group of students that you are representing here today. So we're going to move through this space that we're co-creating, and we hope to accomplish some intended outcomes. And with the use of norms, we'll be able to keep our time productive, efficient, because it's important that we consider that while we're all here right now, we are also away from our families. We're also away from dinner, in many ways that we are pulled. So thank you for being here. In a few minutes, I'll share some of the efforts that have taken shape as a result of previous feedback that we've collected. And so this budget engagement session tonight is one of several that have taken place. And as we collect data, we are making efforts to implement many ways that respond to the feedback that we're receiving. And so as LBUSD is listening, we're also taking action. all of your thoughts will be considered, and we appreciate the many ways. And that if you have already participated in other engagement sessions, we want to be very thankful to you for contributing already. And so the purpose of today, and for right now, is to hear from you, our stakeholders, on what else we need to consider. We know that today, or I want to be very transparent and say that today we won't be engaging in a Q&A format, but we do acknowledge that there are day-to-day concerns that US parents have, and we strongly encourage you to access the resources that are at your school sites. And our school sites across LBUSD are support hubs in many ways. And I know that you are here today because you are advocating for your child, and we are very proud of you, and we are very encouraged by the way you advocate for your children. So, and then the last thing I just wanted to share is that at the end of today, I will share with you what you can expect after today. So we will engage in a thought exchange. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to engage in a thought exchange. And so that's the opportunity that we're going to use to gather your great thinking around some identified priorities that we have in our district. So our outcomes for today are to share some of the feedback and how it's shaped some of the actions in our district, and as well as listening from our stakeholders and digging deeper on how to best address 3 identified priorities, namely academic supports, social emotional learning, student motivation and engagement. And I know Robin, in her agenda that she sent out in preparation for today, she asked for your great thinking, and she shared with you that these would be some of the, not some, but these are the identified priorities that we will gather feedback on from today. So in order for us to be efficient and effective and make sure that all voices are heard, we want to share with you some norms that have worked nicely with all our other engagement opportunities. And so, like I said, we acknowledge that, that as we come together, we're all in different spaces. And so your efforts to remain present and minimize the distractions for yourself and others is really crucial tonight. We want you to seek to understand diverse points of view. We are all coming with a different perspective tonight, and it's the beauty of being together. We are also asking that in order to give equal voice to as many as possible, we ask that you share in thoughtful and concise ways, and our moderator, Mr. Itzen, will help keep us moving along. And again, we're all here today and right now to collaborate and to share our best ideas on how we can best address academic, social emotional learning, and to increase student motivation, and particularly with our student population that we're representing tonight, engagement. So the best work takes time, and as I said, I want you to embrace this messy work. And we're all here as part of a process, and so you're in a process alongside with us today, and we really are thankful that you're taking this evening to be here to listen to us, particularly as it relates to the budget. Because we know processes take a lot of time, and they reflect, and they require that we reflect and that we analyze how we're doing in this process. So thank you again for being here and for joining us. Again, our friends on YouTube, thank you so much. And then of course, lastly, it goes without saying that respect is one of the ways that really allows us to move forward together. If you've not been on a Zoom forum before, there's several of us on here today. And so it also has been helpful for us to have Zoom norms. So we're going to ask that you use the chat feature to engage with each other here on the Zoom, so that you can give and get and share some lingering thoughts, because you'll notice that we are kind of on a tight timeline tonight. So please use the chat feature to give and get. You are also encouraged to raise your hand. There's a raise hand feature, and the way you access that is by going to participants and hovering on your name, and then you should see that there is a raise hand feature. Of course, this also works if this is easier for you, but we may not be able to see you because there are several screens that we're having to go through. Well, Mr. Itzen. Lastly, we ask that you mute your mic while you're in this main room, so that, again, going back to our norm of few distractions. And again, we recognize that being on camera is not the most comfortable thing for everyone. And so if you feel that you need to to be your best, that you need to turn off your camera, that we totally understand that, but strive to be visible. All righty, so the budget engagement framework is a framework that we've been using since August to really kind of go on tour, if you will, throughout the LBUSD community. And I wanted to kind of orient you to, so where are we in this process, but more importantly, where are you? And so on this slide, we wanted to share with you that you are in this golden arrow. You are one of our district stakeholder groups. And so you are part of the engagement framework, but calls for us to gather feedback and input from a variety of stakeholders. We have deployed thought exchange to the community as a whole. We've held one of 2 community forums. Our next one will be next week. And we are meeting with a variety of district and community stakeholder groups, the CAC being one of them. All of this input that is generated will come together for analysis through the Superintendent's Advisory Committee that will meet in November. We've met already twice, and we are excited to prepare all this data for review and for analysis so that there is some thoughtful ways in which we are informing budget decisions. But tonight we're here to dig deeper. And so to do so, we have some guiding questions. Again, these were sent to you in advance. And so our 3 guiding questions, again, will be around what practices would be most effective in addressing academic support? What practices would be most effective in addressing social emotional learning? And what practices would be most effective in addressing student engagement and motivation? And each of these guiding questions, the way we will gather your input and your feedback and your great thinking will be through a thought exchange, which we will guide you through. However, before we get into digging deeper, I wanted to share with you some of the feedback that we've received and how it's translated into action and what action has been taken in our district. So we've gathered quite a bit of feedback around academic supports since one of the first LCAP forums and up until right before this community session. And so some of the ways that we've already implemented the feedback has been through teacher training. As you know, yesterday our students were in asynchronous learning all day. That's in response to a lot of the feedback that we received concerning our teachers and needing more support. So our Office of Curriculum and Instruction, Professional Development is doing an amazing job of supporting our teachers through ongoing training. Again, this is all still developing, but we're glad to see that it's happening and it's as a result of feedback. There's also tutoring that is occurring by certificated staff. There's small group and individualized supports by students and paraprofessionals that is happening. We also are designing a peer tutoring opportunity for students in high schools where they can tutor each other. And very soon you'll hear, in the coming days and weeks, you'll hear about a homework hotline that is being developed. And again, these are all ideas generated through our sessions around the budget engagement. Regarding social emotional learning, Dr. Simon in her previous work and in her current work probably can chime in if she needs to, but I'm happy to share with you that the Family Resource Centers will be expanding their services. And the purpose of the FRCs, as they're commonly referred to, if you're not familiar, is to meet the social, emotional, and behavioral needs of students and families. And they are at 26 designated sites. So for students, support can be provided by FRC staff individually, or they are in group settings. And the FRC staff works collaboratively with Long Beach agencies and organizations that aim to meet students and families' social, emotional, and behavioral health-related needs, including their basic needs. And so services provided by the FRC staff are at no cost to students, and families are enrolled as families are enrolled in an FRC school. So during I'm not sure if you're aware, but during our school closure services were being delivered virtually or by phone. In addition, students, parents, and guardians and staff at your school sites, again, your support hubs, they can complete a referral to an FRC through the district's Family Resource Center's webpage on the district website. And I can drop in later the link if you need that. I'll drop it into the chat a little bit later. So also we have a Smart Start. The first 20 days of school were focused, again, collaboration between the offices of Dr. Simon, Dr. Sosa, and OCIPD, our professional development and curriculum offices, focused on SEL the first 20 days of school. And you can also expect that SEL will continue to be embedded in academic lessons moving forward in the school year. We have an expansion of school-based mental health. And so for more than a decade, our district has worked in collaboration with the Department of Mental Health. And there are 7 community mental health agencies, ChildNet, For the Child, Starview, the Guidance Center, Pacific Asian Counseling Service in Harborview, I think I already mentioned. And they bring mental health services into the schools. And so the focus of these collaboratives is to make services accessible to students and families who are experiencing emotional or behavioral challenges and needs. And to date, there are approximately 60 Long Beach schools who are served by one of our community partners for mental health. School counselors, if you're interested in knowing how to access these resources, school counselors refer students to the appropriate school-based mental health provider, if appropriate. You may have also heard during some of our board meetings and during the presentations that Dr. Simon has shared around SEL and the work that she's leading about neighborhood and home visits by site personnel. Her department, as well as the FRC staff, has developed videos that are helpful to our staff on how to conduct home visits, not only in a safe way, but in ways that are empathetic, that are sensitive, that are compassionate and culturally sensitive to our families. All righty, we're gonna move on to the next. Thank you.
Dr. Salazar, can I just add one more piece? I mean, you said it so well. Probably should take my job. That was well done, Dr. Salazar.
Thank you.
But I would also add the adult SEL. That's something that we are really prioritizing this year. Of course, we're going to continue with our work around students and the referral, and also working with families too, as far as connecting them, as Dr. Salazar mentioned, to our community-based organizations and agencies. But we know that adult SEL is of the utmost importance right now. And that's because we know that our adults, our parents, our staff members, right? Some are pouring from an empty cup. So we want to make sure that they're well, because if they're not well, then we know that they can't help our students who also need assistance as well. So that you'll see more of a buildup. You may see these kind of auto dialers or even school messengers around SEL, around mental health, as we're collaborating and working alongside ChildNet and Guidance Center and many other school-based mental health providers. So just know that's something that we are taking very seriously, on top of ensuring that our students are well too. So just wanted to add that piece in there, Dr. Salazar. Thank you.
Thank you. Which leads us, in continuing with SEL, going into student engagement and motivation. Again, it bears repeating that our first 20 days of school, there was a focus on SEL in our classrooms, K-12. And so that was not by chance, that was by design, understanding that the trauma and the needs of students come first. And so Smart Start is what we call the first 20 days of school, where we focus on SEL. Some of the other action that has taken place in LBUSD around student engagement and motivation is the urge and the urgency with which connectivity support has come to many students. While we know there are some who are still remain without some connections to Wi-Fi, there is, I can't underscore it enough. There's a lot of urgency right now to make sure and ensure that all of our students have the connections that they need. As you know, there was a device deployment to all families in need, and there is tech support at sites. I know that, again, school sites being viewed as the support hub, many of our principals have pivoted into becoming tech support, some of the office staff as well. And we want to thank them for all the ways in which they are bending and being flexible to support the needs of our families. But I also want to share that if there is a student that, you know, or your own child who is in need of an updated Chromebook, please communicate that to the school sites. Some school sites, most school sites have additional Chromebooks, and that might take care of a lot of the tech that is happening, the tech challenges that are occurring. I mentioned earlier training that is occurring for school sites around home visits and how to do those in a sensitive, culturally sensitive way that is responsive to the needs of our families. And oftentimes, the site teams that are doing home visits come equipped with, here are the materials that you maybe don't have yet, including a Chromebook, and if available, a hotspot, so that it's not a wasted time. Lastly, you may know, and you may have seen it come out through the school messenger, information regarding how attendance is authorized according to SB 98. And so there was a Senate bill, if you're unfamiliar with it, that was approved in the state of California this year, and it required school districts to take daily attendance. And so the way attendance, and I say that in quotation marks, is marked is very accommodating to the many needs and challenges and struggles that our families are engaging in currently. And if you would like more information, I can make myself available, but Dr. Simon might be able to share a little bit more about that, because there was a board presentation as well, where she went into more depth around that. And lastly, around feedback, there's been other feedback that we've heard that doesn't fall nicely into one of those three categories. And so here we are today, we are live streaming this session, and we're doing so in 3 languages. We're doing it in English, Khmer, Spanish, of course, but we've also have included American Sign Language for our deaf and hard of hearing families that want to participate and engage with us. We are also expanding restorative justice training with California Conference for Equity and Justice, CCEJ. We are bringing back and continuing to work with Californians for Justice on the equity design team. And you may have heard and seen in the board meetings, Dr. Brown speaking around the equity leadership team. And so that is continuing to be formed and developed, and there'll be more to share at upcoming board meetings. And lastly, actually tomorrow is the first meeting for one of our student advisory groups. And there are several that are being developed for a variety of purposes. And so that is one way that we are lifting student voice and using their voice to inform our work. So I said a lot, and I tried to do so in a way that shares with you how we've been listening and how we are taking action to the many needs that many have presented throughout this budget engagement process. And so it's been a very fruitful and rewarding experience for me and my team. And today we're going to dig deeper. And so those guiding questions, again, are coming back to us because we would like to use a certain protocol with the thought exchange. And so in order to gather as many thoughts and to hear from everyone on the Zoom and watching on the YouTube live stream, you too will have an opportunity to participate. So if you are watching on YouTube, we are encouraging you to join us in a few minutes. So we're going to use Thought Exchange as a way to gather our thoughts today. And today we'll have an opportunity to have Mr. Itzen, who's going to moderate our live Thought Exchange. We did this during our community forum, and it worked really well. And so he's gonna come on and he'll share with us in a little bit how to use Thought Exchange in case you have not had an opportunity to use it already. And so once the live exchange begins and ends, we're going to spend 10 minutes because we want to be very sensitive to everyone's time this evening. And we're going to view the highest rated thoughts per question, and we'll discuss them further as needed. And we want to remind you to raise the hand feature, and Mr. Itzen will randomly select. So it's not first come, first serve, it's random selection as to who will share, who would like to share. So we'll use a timer for 10 minutes. And once it goes off, we'll move on to the next question and we'll launch a new thought exchange. So if you didn't get a chance to share, please know that all your thoughts will be read by those of us that are gathering data, including from the chat. So we will be collecting the chat because we know that there's a lot of great thought and a lot of lingering thoughts that will be placed in there. And so you can also, I encourage you to add it to the chat. or go back into the thought exchange. We're going to leave it open for 24 hours after today if you want to go back into it. This
Dr.
is the hard.
Salazar.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just had a clarifying question about the questions, the
Sure.
guiding questions. It says what practices would be most effective in addressing like academic support. Are we thinking about it as like right now
Yes.
during closure, or are we thinking when we go back to school, or all?
That's a great question, Robin. Thank you for clarifying that. So we are looking for, we know that everyone comes from a different perspective right now. So if you feel that right now you want to talk about what academic supports would be most effective, please share that. The beauty of Thought Exchange is that it will notice themes and it will give us and generate for us themes. So feel free, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. You can think of it in the moment now, you can think of it maybe potentially as we go back, and just know that in the future, we're going to ask for ideas around reopening of schools when we get to that point. So there will be opportunity to share that. But thank you, Robin, because this is the heart of why we're here today, right? We're, to gather your thoughts and to support each other in this process. So I'd like to encourage Mr. Itzen to lead us through this next segment.
Dr. Salazar, while Mr. Itzen's getting that together, there's a question.
Oh, sure.
How are the students chosen for the Student Advisory Committee?
That's a great question. So there was a application process. I have to be very honest. I was not the one that sent it out, but I do know high school students. There was an email that was sent to all high school students, and they were encouraged to apply, and they had an opportunity to be part of one of three or other advisory committee. So one will be the Superintendent's Advisory Committee, which is for students. It's all students. There is also one where they will be advising and sharing in around curriculum. And then there will be one that will be working in or advising around the equity leadership team. And then there were there was students who said, well, I don't know if I want to be any of those, but if there's another, count me in for that. And so we had over 96 respondents for that showed interest in being in our student advisory committees. Mr. Itzen.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Mr. Itzen. I'm the Assistant Director for Media Services. So I'm just here to kind of help support all the YouTube and all the different things that are happening. And so we're going to run through, as Dr. Salazar said, these 3 questions through the Thought Exchange. This is a great tool where basically I'll go through the directions in a second, but to join, you're going to want to open up another window in your browser. And you're going to type in that tejoin.com. And this is the code that you'll enter for the first question. And that's 130-124-631. And so we'll give you some time. If you have some questions in the chat on that technical support, you can go ahead and ask. And then also, if you're at home and you're watching this in YouTube and you're not part of the Zoom, the links are in the summary for the YouTube video that you're watching. So you can actually directly click in and using the code and actually get into the Thought Exchange as well. So we'll give you a few minutes to start getting that set up. I'm going to set the timer.
I don't see
Do
the.
you have the slide, Mr. Itzen? Or did you launch the Thought Exchange?
I did. You guys can't see it?
No.
No.
What is happening here? We'll try this again. I'm sorry. My apologies. Thought we had it. Stop sharing. Let me start over. All right. Can you see that?
Yes, we see that.
Sorry about that. It was showing up on mine and not everybody else's. Let me clean it up here a little bit. All right, so you go to tjoin.com and then you're going to punch in this code and that's going to enter you into the first Thought Exchange, the first round.
Can you put that in the chat, Mr.
Yes.
Thank
You can do the link on the bottom.
Ah, good call. I had it in there earlier and I took it out. Okay. Let me get to the chat from here.
And you'll let us all in if we get kicked out of the Zoom, right?
Yes, of course. We are monitoring that the whole time. So I apologize. I'm doing like 4 things at once, but I will do my best to get you all back.
Great.
There's an issue. All right, so it's also, the link is in the chat if that's easiest for you to click on. And it's just for the first one, and I'll add them as we go. So we have 10 participants in, great job. We'll just kind of wait a little bit longer, give everybody some time.
People
And I'd
who
like to say
have,
that it does, so for our families and our participants who are using who need a different language, Spanish, Khmer, it has the availability to do that. You can just, on the drop down, you select the language that you prefer. And it will translate your comments and everybody else's comments. So you're not left out of the conversation. So it's going to guide you through some quick questions, because we want to know who you are as you participate. And so you'll share your thought. You're probably at the point where you have to share your thought and say why it's important to you.
We still have 29 participants. You want me to go through the prompt at this point, Dr. Salazar?
Sure, that'd be great.
All right, so everyone, so once you're in, this is the first question that's up there that Dr. Salazar went over in our 3 guiding questions. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, it's my timer. What practices would be most effective in addressing academic support for students? So you'll type in your answer, and then when you're done, you start scrolling through, and you can actually, and I'll go to that slide in a minute, you'll actually see what other individuals are commenting on, and then you can actually rate from 1 star to 5 stars about their comment. So if their comment really resonates with you and it's something you agree with, you may give it a 5 star. If it's not, you may rate it as a 1 star, and then we'll see what are the most kind of popular answers and responses that come up. So I'll move to that in just 1 second here. All right. So as you can see, several people have already started to answer. And so you want to take at least the first, 5 or 6 minutes, 7 minutes, think about your answers. And then once you've done that, you can scroll through and start ranking other individual answers. And you may notice on the left, the graph is showing individuals who are connecting, where ideas are resonating. So you'll kind of see a little graphic representation of the interaction between comments.
Hmm. Hmm. So if you haven't had a chance to begin rating, please move towards rating so that you get an opportunity to see the comments.
All right, so we are at time, Dr. Salazar.
Dr. Salazar, can you unmute?
I'm sorry. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ritson. So I would recommend that you take the next maybe 20 seconds to just kind of finish your rating. As you can tell, there's a lot of great thoughts that are in there. And then Mr. Itzen, if you could send us over to the next slide. And so what this generates for us is the top thoughts. So based on our 44 participants and our 37 thoughts that were shared and our 515 ratings, this first thought, if you would like to double click it, Mr. Itzen, that first one. And we're gonna encourage anyone who would like to speak on this that's on the Zoom today. So it says, ensuring that teachers are differentiating instruction to meet the individual needs of students. And so if there's anyone who would like to add more to this, we encourage you to use the raise the hand feature. And if, or a reaction that shows that preferred raise hand feature. And Mr. Itzen, if you would like to share with us, anybody who'd like to speak on this. So this being the top thought, again, you have somebody? Okay, go ahead.
Well, a very good evening to all my colleagues from CAC and all the new comer. My name is Poo Savashana. I am the father of Poo Somania on special aid with Miss Velasco at Barton. I'm so happy to share some of the few thoughts with you, and this is a reality in my life, and I hope that I hope to be the voice of some other people who don't like to speak up or who are afraid. You know, basically, when school closed on March 13, 2020, my wife and I, we were thinking that maybe it's a temporary setback. So we've been playing a role as a teacher, you know, says, hey, so many, I am your teacher now at home. We didn't know that until today, we're still a teacher. I never signed up to be a teacher in my life. Now I become a full-time teacher too. You know, I do whatever I can, and I with due respect to Long Beach Unified School District, to all the teachers, to all the educators in the United States. I really admire and thank you for so much for your caring, concerning. But if you measure the impact at the result level, my son is not learning, as simple as that. Despite all the great things, you know, I mean, now I think I personally feel like we have too much information. If we go through to the information that I receive every day, my goodness, I need to become a PhD just to read, not understand yet, just to read. We overwhelmed with information, you know, and I have Zoom fatigue just to connect with other people all the time. So I think that let's get back to basic. I think the most important thing is to realize that the kid need person-to-person teaching more than anything else. And our goal is to do everything, the district, the state, the authorities, the district we can to get back to normalcy. What I don't understand is Costco, Walmart, with all of those people can open for business. But school, with all the money they spend, with all the technology, with all the advance, with all the health department, we still cannot open. You know, I need to explain that to my son, you know, he said, hey, Dad, why Costco open? Why school is not open yet? Mm-hmm. So, and also when it comes to assessment of my child, I don't think that the school would take, you know, based on what your information, because the federal required to take account of those. You know, you need to stand to people to say that, you know, virtual assessment is not a good assessment. Even because how the teacher can interact, how the teacher would see my son engage, how learning here. because I'm always there with him, you know, from 8 to 2. And I don't know about other parents, you know. I believe in quality education. I believe in doing the very best we can give to the children, not only by words, but in deeds. You know, virtual learning is only temporary, but this is going to be based on what I understand, you know, in January it's going to open up. You know, Orange County opened up already. You know, I took my kid to a wine park. And I spoke to the parent there. They open already. Say, what's going on in your school? Why they don't open yet? So we have a lot of this ambiguity that beside working with my child and working also explaining, you know, and try to make some sense, you know. And I think we all stress out during this time. But when the stress has not been depleted, it create more stress. So, and whatever stress out to us gonna be impact the children too. And we had double stress on all of those. So I think in the long run, we need to find a solution, and which is a better way, you know, even go to school 2 hours a day, you know, instead of 5 or 6 hours is sufficient. At least they be able to work with the type of reality. The reality my child want is to see his teacher. We met his teacher one time, you know, about 3 months ago in at Target. And my son go run to hug her. And she said, no, we do air hug. My son never taught to do air hug. And this is painful for me. And I'm sure that we need to address this everything we can. Thank you for letting me talk.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing. And I think you said such great things and such true things. I am a parent of a student in LBUSD, and I understand your struggle with, and while I'm at work, my husband, who's a stay-at-home dad, he didn't sign up to be a teacher either. And he gets to see all the ways that, and he, you know, it's a challenge for him. He's not an educator. But I also appreciate you acknowledging that these are difficult times for many of us. And your voice, thank you for sharing both how grateful you are for what has been done, but also for expressing your great ideas and what more we can be doing. So thank you so much for that. Mr. Itzen, how are we on time? Do we need to move to the next question?
Yeah, we're at 7 o'clock right now.
Yes,
We're
okay.
ready, I think, move on to the next question.
So we're gonna go on to the next question. And Mr. Itzen, if you wanna guide us and share with us again. So we're gonna launch a new question. That was the question revolving academic supports for students. And so just to remind you, you would go to tejoin.com. And now we're going to ask you what practices would be most effective in addressing social emotional learning. And the reason why we are doing 3 separate thought exchanges is because we, as I shared with you, we are listening to what you're saying, and we're taking in all your input. And if you've ever taken a look at large amounts of data, you want to be organized from the get-go. And so this will be compiled with the other information that we're generating around addressing a social emotional learning for students.
And so the next link has been placed into the chat. It's also up on the screen. Am I correct? You can all see it?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So now addressing what practices would be most effective in addressing social emotional learning for students. You'll go into the chat and click on that link, and we'll go through the same process. It'll be a few minutes to jump in and get everybody set up, and then we will move over to where you can see the questions and the ratings. Okay, so if you haven't at this time, go ahead and go to the, if you see at the bottom of the chat, there's the next T join. Go ahead and click on that link and you can join to get into the next question. Is anyone having trouble with the link that we just sent out? All right, here we go. So I'll give you about 30 more seconds to get in. You can always jump right in and then I'll click to the next screen here.
So we have 30 participants. Get on. If you're at home, don't forget, you can also join in.
Yeah, if you're at home and you're watching on YouTube, just go to the summary of the link that you're watching and it'll, the login information is right there for you. All right, we're gonna jump over to the next slide. So great, so it looks like a lot of people are already jumping on. So we'll start the timer. So as Dr. Salazar said in the last round, you'll go ahead and put your input in and your feedback. And then from there, go ahead and review what other community members of the team are saying and go ahead and rate based on an order of importance what you think.
Mhm. If you haven't had a chance to rate, we're going to take the last 30 seconds and then we're going to move on to the next slide. So hopefully you're finishing your ratings. Okay, Mr. Ritson. Would you like to? So we're going to move on to the next slide so we can see what are some of the top thoughts. Feel free to continue to add your thoughts. Again, we will have these thought exchanges open until tomorrow. And so if you don't get a chance to continue rating, feel encouraged to do so tomorrow as well. So Mr. Itzen, will you share with us which is a top thought? So need to interact with classmates, maybe have a brief fun game online. I'd like to share that this was a theme, and for many of the responses and thoughts that were shared, this idea of providing opportunities for students to just kind of hang out. Can't think of the better way to say it, just kind of hang out virtually. And so again, our feedback is not only shared with those that are on my team, with Mr. Tagorda, with Ms. Yumi, and with Ms. Arcus, but we also will be sharing this information with our OCIPD office department, as well as the level offices, elementary, middle school, and high school. And you're adding some great thinking to ways that we can get creative for students so that they can be kids together. Would anybody like to share something, or we can move on to the next top thought, Mr. Itzen? And then if you could set the timer. Because I wouldn't want to overstay my welcome, because then I won't be invited back. And we don't want that. Okay. So our next top thought, if we have counselors and or social workers at every school site for at least 3 days a week. This is a theme that has come up even before COVID, even before we had school closures due to coronavirus. And so this continues to be a request that we are seeing. And if there's anyone in our session who would like to share, either LBUSD staff and or any of our parent participants or community participants, Mr. Itzen?
There's no electronic hand raises. I'm trying to go through and just check if anyone on video is raising their hand.
And if not, we can move on to the next thought. As I peek behind the one. So need to interact with classmates, maybe have a brief fun game online. I think we may have seen this one already, but again, if not, it's because it's a theme. If you were one of the raters, you saw that several suggestions were made about, I saw one for, I think, virtual play dates. I saw one very similar to this one. Friday fun days, I saw one. I could see one kind of dimmed in the back, it says social clubs facilitated by trained professionals. These are all very creative ways for our school sites to develop ways for students to interact and socially engage. And I think what we're trying to share is that right now our students more than ever need each other and need ways to communicate in kid-friendly ways that aren't just with teachers. And I may be going out on a limb by sharing that. That's my own commentary. So is there anyone who would like to speak on this? If not, we can move on to the next one so we can see other top thoughts. Ooh, I'd like that. Like, can we talk about this one? And I'm going to call him my colleague, Mr. Tagorda, to speak a little bit around Parent University as it relates to this. So as parents, we need to be trained so we can help our children in this area. So I know Mr. Tagorda is with us today. Mr. Tagorda, would you like to share a little bit around Parent University?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for this question and this feedback. We have an ongoing series of various workshops through our Parent University program that's being deployed in a virtual setting on YouTube, very similar to this meeting. We've started with a series on Canvas to ensure that all of our families are able to access and understand how these features work. But there will also be other topics related to the guiding questions that we're seeing today. For example, social emotional learning and mental health type support, student engagement and motivation, things related to improving parenting skills. And then we're gathering feedback from parents as they come. So the more information that we receive from our families, the better off we'll be. And then lastly, of course, our school sites have their own series of various parent trainings and workshops. So our intent is to ensure that you get an integrated set of resources and supports to be able to navigate this unprecedented times.
And can you share a little bit about how communication or how they find out about these and just to kind of orient them?
Absolutely. The best way to do it is through lbschools.net. I'll drop the link directly to our Parent University calendar here. And I'll also provide everyone with the link to the YouTube feed where our Parent University workshops are located. So even if you miss the workshop that we did on Canvas last week, for example, you can still go back there and check it out and be able to just select the various parts of the workshop that you're interested in. And they're available in English, Spanish, and combined.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Would anybody else like to share anything around parents and the needs for their training? Okay.
Hello?
Raise a hand.
Oh, sure. I'm not sure who's
Hi.
speaking. Go ahead.
My name's Caroline, and for me, you know, I work all day. My caregiver is my father. He does not know how to use a computer. So the resources that the teacher, because my child is in pre-K, so he goes to school for half a day, and for the other half of the day, there's like internet-based programs that the teacher gives out. But my father does not know how to cut on a computer. He has no idea how to use these things. So like Parent University is something that is completely foreign to him. And I'm sure I'm not the only parent that's experiencing this. And is there some way to help, you know, parents that are working that don't have a caregiver that can access the internet or that knows how to use a computer?
So I'm sorry, I didn't catch your first name because my screen looks really small. I'm sorry. What was your name?
Caroline?
Caroline, I'm so sorry. So Caroline, thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to ask you for two things. One is to share that sentiment in our chat again, because
Okay.
our chat is, we're going to capture the chat as part of our data that we are getting. And I want you to know that that is something that that we recognize that many people are in a role that they did not and sign up for. You know, the grandparents, the aunts, sometimes the neighbor that's helping out and pitching in.
Yes.
And so it's compounded when we're not familiar with technology and we're relying on the young children, and in your case, a pre-K student, to be the guide, and they themselves have limited skill sets.
Yeah. I mean, my child is 3, so
Yes, no,
I mean, he's like pre-K, so there's no help for them.
So-
And already my child is in special education. Um, so I've been dealing with speech issues. So already I feel very overwhelmed because I feel like he's going to continue to fall behind.
Mm. So I don't have any answers right now, and you know, again, we're here to gather the input and listen to the concerns and the feedback that you're providing. I know that others are going to be gathering, I mean, or checking in on this data and listening, and what you're expressing, I'm sure that you're not the only one. I'm positive you're not the only one. And so I really thank you for that, because when you drop it in the chat, we will be able to inform whoever needs to consider this as a problem solving challenge. And that's to say, okay, if we have grandparents, if we have folks that are not adept to technology, and we have really young students and they have special needs, then how are we supporting those families? And that's
Yes.
a challenge that will be addressed, and it will be taken on, so that we can make it right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Itzen, I think that because it's 7:18, we want to make sure that we get to our next one, unless you think we have a lot of time left.
No, I think it's time to move to the next one. Second.
Oh, and Caroline, I don't know if you noticed the chat. Thank you, Ms. Garcia. She's giving you some suggestions and some actions to take by calling Mrs. Polizzi. So thank you, Ms. Garcia.
All right, so the next question is up in the, sorry, Dr. Salazar, it's up in the chat, so you can link in and start signing on.
Okay, and thank you for dropping it in the chat, Mr. Itzen, because that's. And so we're going to ask for your thoughts and your great thinking around student engagement and motivation. Recognizing that we've done this question with several different stakeholder groups, and your creativity and your thoughtful responses to this question are important for not only Dr. Simon's department, but everyone who supports her department. I encourage everyone, whether you're staff, to partake in this thought exchange. Again, our friends on YouTube, please log in, because the more thoughts we have, the better.
All right, so it looks like we have a large amount of people logged on to the next question. If you missed that, it is in the chat, how to link. It's the last link. We're going to go ahead and move to the next page so you can start answering and rating. So as we're at 4 minutes, just as Dr. Salazar said in the last few, you may want to start looking at some other responses and providing your support, or ones that you resonate with. And just a note, a technical note, there have been a few individuals that are just having tech issues getting into the actual thought exchange, and they've been putting a few answers in the chat and responses. That's great. As Dr. Salazar has said multiple times, just so everybody knows, we're going to record that data as well, so that can be analyzed.
Okay. Okay, we have our last few seconds. Hopefully you've had a chance to rate. We see one thought coming in. Such a great visual. Okay, so that's our time. All right, Mr. Itzen, thank you so much for keeping us going. So our top thought for how to address student engagement and motivation would be to elevate the student voice. For every leadership group or academy, ensure that they are including students with disabilities. I think this is powerful. I know that if you've heard Dr. Baker speak on her goals and some of her efforts, one resounding effort is to elevate student voice. But if anybody would like to say anything more around elevating student voice, I encourage you to raise hand. And Mr. Itzen, do your thing.
I raised my hand. Should I?
Okay,
Okay, I'm gonna speak. I just think that the district provides so many opportunities. For leadership, and I think Californians for Justice is a great group, and I think the Female Leadership Academy. I'm a big fan of that student who interviewed Dr. Baker. But I, with all of these groups, I think that it's so important that there's a concerted effort to include students with disabilities. And I wonder if it gets tricky because of like privacy issues, and maybe the person has to self-identify. But I wonder if we can just always keep that in our minds, because our kids should, be the leaders of, of our group, to be quite frank, but of their community. So I just want to make sure that they're given the opportunity, and if they don't seek it out, that they are selected by their teachers or encouraged more purposefully. And that's all I had to say about that.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for sharing that. I'm not particularly involved with setting up the groups, but again, I will be sharing this information and elevating your voice and the thoughts that were shared here today. Would we like to go to the next top thought, Mr. Itzen? It says, teachers should have more regularly scheduled one-on-one discussions with students to get to know them on a personal level. My son's second grade teacher does one-on-one meetings with him every few weeks. It boosts his self-esteem and it gives her ideas on what motivates him. This highlights the importance of relationship building at a time like this. Not sure who shared this thought, but thank you for bringing this to light. If anybody would like to expand on maybe other ways that you're seeing how teachers are creative in doing these one-on-one sessions with students, feel free to chime in. All right. I'll wait for I think they call it the pregnant pause. I'm not sure why it's pregnant pause, but the awkward silence. I'll refer to that. All right. Anyone, Mr. Itzen? If not, we can go on to the next top thought. And maybe we'll have time for one more. I'm just keeping an eye on the clock. Robin, you tell me, like, you can go like this. I can see you. You can go like this. We can be very informal. Okay, here's the next one. Teachers need to refrain from reprimanding children in front of the whole class who don't want to have their camera on. Some children have challenges that make this difficult and stifling and can impact their learning, also stigmatizing. Thank you for sharing this. I know that there has been, and I'm trying to remember, I know that maybe at a board meeting, and I can't speak to everything, but again, the power of sharing your thoughts here today is that it's not going to go unnoticed and unread. And so thank you for bringing this up. And if anybody would like to speak on this.
I'd like to speak on this. This
sure.
Is I've heard it mentioned at the board meetings, and I'm very appreciative that Dr. Heenan has mentioned that about that being an option for students, but it's not trickling down to the classrooms. So I, for one, have seen this within my son's own class. We have a couple of children that it's not good for them. and I see that it's impacting their behavior and their participation in class. So I think that we need to do a more concerted effort at the school level to really push that the kids have the option and figure out. One of the big things with our teacher is that she reprimands them. She's like, I want to know you're there. I want to know you're there. There's different ways to engage kids. You could be like, everyone right now, give me your favorite color. Like, and they type it in the chat. These are 5th graders we're talking about. So I just think the option needs to be offered. Parents need to reinforce that as well to make their kids feel secure. And then teachers also need to give other options if they are trying to just make sure kids are present. Thank you.
Thank you. So I could see your name, Nubia. Thank you so much. Thank you because in what you're sharing, you're also sharing options. You're sharing how that can be done. So thank you for adding a solution to a very difficult situation for students, because that's not what we show up to work for. That is not what we show up for work. So thank you for that. All right, Mr. Itzen, you are timekeeper, so you keep me honest.
You've got about 10, 15, 10, like
okay, so
13 more minutes.
Okay, so this will be our last one then, because we would like to wrap it up and not overextend our stay. So this one says, increase motivation of students by incorporating student interests within activities. In addition, understand the importance of positive reinforcement. And I'd say this one resonates, especially because of the last one we just shared. So if anyone would like to speak on this, I encourage you to do so. Okay. Well, Robin, I think, I don't know, Mr. Itzen, no one? Okay, so that's fine. Not everything needs to be a full discussion, but I am really thankful, Robin and Dr. Simon, for having Mr. Tagorda and Ms. Arcus and Mr. Itzen be part of this conversation tonight. I am so thankful that you joined in and you participated actively, and that your voices were lifted through not only the thought exchange, but through the chat. If you're on YouTube, we hope that you joined in as well. We would love to come back. And what you can expect, Robin, and I can send it to you, is I can share with you in particular, so that you see how it's best to share with our stakeholders in CAC. We can send you a report of what were some of the themes that came up. And I know you are part of the Superintendent's Advisory Committee, and so you'll also see them again there. This data today will be compiled in addition to, again, the other efforts that we've engaged in since August. Knowing that the budget is I should say a living document, but it's not one and done. It is something that is continuously reviewed. We are in our district, we live in a cycle of improvement. And so we plan, we study, we do, and then we have to reflect on what did we do and how did it go? And then we start all over if we need to. Not from point zero, but from where we left off. So I just want to say thank you. I don't know, Robert, if you want to say goodbye, if you want to say thank you. But I just am really appreciative of this time together. Thank you again to everyone.
Yes, I'd just like to reiterate Dr. Salazar's sentiments and thank the entire committee for not only engaging with us this evening, but also just always providing us with feedback. We placed all of the links that are relevant to today's discussions in the chat, so you can be sure to check those out, including the Parent University calendar, the Parent University video workshops that you can go back to and watch in case you missed them, as well as other opportunities for you to continue to receive information from the district. But again, I want to thank everyone on behalf of the entire team for your contributions to tonight's conversation and for having us here together.
Yes, thank you so much. Mr. Tagorda, I know, does an amazing job with his Parent University and his team. And I know, knowing him, he is looking at all this data, looking for what needs to come to Parent University and where else could it, can some of this work rest. So I want to say thank you. I want to say good night. I know Robin, you still have a send off, but Ms. Arcus, I know Ms. Arcus was having technical issues. I don't know if she's with us. If you want to say anything.
Well, I just want to reiterate both what Dr. Salazar and Mr. Gorda reiterated. We're real appreciative of the information that you guys shared tonight. Hopefully I'm not still having technical difficulties. I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads. And, you know, I'm here to listen and understand and see where these things will align with the budget and what we can do in the future to help support these needs. So again, I appreciate you. I know it's a late night and I'm really glad that everyone could join us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We can stay on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you guys can stay on. We're going to talk about some bylaws. I mean, it's going to be really exciting. Thank you guys. Thank you all for participating. I was nervous about the thought exchange, and I think that went really well. And everybody who shared, Mr. Poe, it is always, I'm so glad that you're here. You are the emotional heart of the CAC. So we are just moving on really quickly to announcements. Unfortunately, we haven't had enough people vote on our bylaws amendment, so I still have to take attendance. So please, everybody who is here, if you could type your name in the chat and just your name, that's all I need. And we are going to say that now. If you're watching on YouTube, you can send an email to CAC for Long Beach, and you can just say that you were watching on YouTube, and that will count as attendance too. And it would be great if you guys all blew up our email. So please, thank you for doing that. Now we are going to move to for good news and shout out. But before I did, I also wanted to say really quickly, we sent out a survey, CAC sent out a survey. I appreciate you all filling out these surveys and Google Forms. You know, I like to make a document. And I wanted to acknowledge the feedback from people, and thank you for participating and sending in your feedback. We hear you. Some people sent it in twice, and thank you. I appreciate that. But I also wanted to just sort of say that the CNC board is me and Courtney Stewart and Jen Yates and Samantha Holdren, and we're all moms working, doing distance learning at home with our kids. It's not easy. We're all going through the same sort of issues, having IEPs and trying to balance our lives. And you know, the CAC we're volunteers. We're not district employees. We're not paid by the district. The district still has not given me my own parking space, even though I've asked for it several times. But we spend a lot of time working on these meetings and planning them, and every hour we spent, and I'm talking about hours, every hour spent doing this is an hour away from our families. And so what I want to say is the feedback we got, which was really awesome. I would really like to encourage everybody who submitted ideas of ways that we can make CAC better, or things that you would like to see. I'd like you to send us an email, and this time I challenge you, don't just tell us what we should be doing or what we can be doing. I want you to tell us how you can help us do it, because we need your help. And you know, it's really tough times, and so we really need you to come, you know, and in any way possible. We can do Zoom subcommittee meetings, we could do anything. Thank you, Jen, for putting in that email. We are looking for volunteers, okay? I am not comfortable being on Zoom all the time, so if you are a really good on-camera talent, you can come and, you know, lead part of this meeting too. This is a movement, it's a group. And so I just encourage you all to send us an email and tell us how you can help in any way, shape, or form. But that's for me. So I'm going to hand it over to Jen, who is going to end our meeting. Jen Yates is going to pop up somewhere.
Hello.
Oh, there she is. All right.
Here I am. I'm a little glitchy. Okay, so we're going to do shout outs and public comment. So you can either write something in the chat box, or if you don't mind speaking, please raise your hand. And I don't think I'm going to call on you because I don't think I see it on my end. Do I, Robin?
I didn't call. Nubia has a comment. Yes.
Okay, go Nubia.
Hi, I'm here. I'm not just an LBUSD parent, but I'm also the chairperson of the City of Long Beach's Commission on the Citizens Advisory Commission on Disabilities. And we have an event tomorrow, which Dr. Hainan is participating at. October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and we're doing a panel discussion to talk about what our city is doing to help foster employment opportunities for our youth and our residents with disabilities. And Dr. Hainan will be joining us to share about what LBUSD is doing for youth. We have great panelists. I'll put the information on the chat. We will have Spanish translation, but you do just need to register for the event. So yeah, hope you can join us. Thank you.
Thanks, Nubia. So I'm just going to read what's in the chat box right now. The students that would receive RSP inside the classroom are the most affected students with this new learning system, and they are not receiving support, and the students are losing what they have learned. Please don't forget about these students. Thank you. And then we have a shout out to Buffum and Cubberley. Yay. Anybody else? I can't see raised hands.
I can't see raised hands.
Thank you, Nubia. Nubia just shared the link to the Zoom tomorrow, or to register rather, pardon me.
Mr. Pooh, would you like to say anything?
No pressure.
Yeah, thank you. No. I, you know, I want to end by not, you know, in life, we all need to be, to really look at what facing us with strength, endurance, and, you know, to look at light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I'm the survivor of the Khmer Rouge regime, you know. So I'm thankful for America. I'm thankful to all of you for give us hope, give us some more strength to continue with daily life. You know, I really appreciate this platform for all of us can talk and share, you know, whatever topic, you know, it doesn't matter to be school, but that's what we are missing here. And, you know, when you are detached, when the social interaction is not there, you focus, there's another dynamic that we together that we are missing, you know. And I hope that this kind of thing would really find some way, you know. We can have all different idea about life, but we should have a common voice on how we're going to bring this together to be more fruitful to the child, you know, to the child with special need, because they are so much behind in life already. But with this pandemic, with this kind of restriction, disruption, interruption, will make them more behind. And how we can together, work together for a common solution that is all working out for the teacher, for the parent, and for the child, you know. That is our goal. And I think that if we put our mind together, we can do it, you know. And with your support, with everything, you know, and I'd be happy to share some of the things that I think we should do, you know, to work out this. Because, you know, I'm sure that this group down here have experienced the same thing like I do. At a different level, you know. Can I have 1 more minute, please? Yes, you know, yes. A few days, no, about 3 weeks ago, you know, I get advice to do a living trust for my son, just in case it happened for me and my wife during the coronavirus. So we did a living trust And, my attorney told me to, inform me, said, Mr. Poo, you go to the bank, Wells Fargo Bank, you need to do all of this, to sign your name to do a living trust. The manager of the bank refused me and my wife because so many have autism and ADHD. This make me so much. I feel like I would relieve the Khmer Rouge time when people at today time with the coronavirus, they said that if we let my son in, he can disrupt other customer. So I'm fear of people. I'm fear of meeting people during this. What kind of thing we doing. So I don't know. All of us, we try to put on a face that who are we? At the end of the day, what matter to us nowadays? We need to answer all these hard questions. But I'm sure that Robin is feeling, because she knows how I express myself. It's important for us to deal with the hard questions that we try to put a good face in front of the public, but inside of us is so tormented, it's so oppressed. And when is this done, I think it's not healthy. I think we should get out of our shell and try to speak the truth, I'm afraid to give me my solution on social emotional, because to me, I just tell my son the truth. I tell my son, say, so Mania, this is coronavirus, you cannot go to the beach, you cannot go to the library, you cannot go to the school. I don't know a better way to do this. He see it on TV, everywhere he see it. Why we don't tell him the truth? But by telling the truth, sometimes we are not being a good citizen, portrayed to be whatever. We need to get out of this shell, these fake shells that we do, and speak up and understand more about, how to work together to achieve the same end. This is to get the child an education. This is a gift that we all can give to him, instead of giving him a house, a new car, everything. I think the gift of education is so unlimited that he can use anywhere he can go, and that's what I'm hoping that is my motivation to be at CAC, to engage with CAC, to promote and strengthen, learning for the kid. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Pooh.
Thank you.
And
I love it.
Nubia just commented, Mr. Pooh, if you didn't see, this is something you should bring to our commission. Banks and accessibility is something as a city we should help advocate for. And then she has a link there.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm looking for this, I feel so stressful. I tell you, I'm told my doctor I need some, I'm on anxiety pill right now because I'm fearing of people, and I shouldn't, I feel like I re-traumatized from the Khmer Rouge back, and it shouldn't be. You're right. And I'm thankful for you to give me this link. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
think we can all raise
Thank
our
you for
hand if we
sharing.
are all want to ask our doctors for anxiety medicine. Wait, I'm right there.
Right along with you. Right along with you.
There's also, and just so people know, Nubia has put in some contact information for the citywide accessibility coordinator, Heather Van Wyck. And somebody also recommended the book Uniquely Human by Dr. Barry Prezant.
It's really good. Yeah. You guys, that's my next book to drop off at people's offices.
Anybody else?
Tienen algo así, pero en español. Do you have anything like that, but in Spanish?
Uniquely Human?
What happened?
What were you talking about the book?
The resources that you share?
Oh, Nubia.
Yes, because it is a city commission, we have translation available. Because it is a city, it has to be requested in advance. So the commission meets every second Thursday of the month. If you email Heather and say, I'd like to participate or listen in and I need translation, she will set that up. But everything through the city can be requested in the language preferred.
Thank you, Nubia.
Thank you. We have a comment. Shout out to Henry. We had the best IEP meeting we've had to date this Monday, and it was thanks to a great team. We felt heard and supported. It built trust and led to great work. Yay. Everyone deserves a great IEP meeting. Yes, that is true. Yay.
Jen, we should probably also mention our next meeting is December 9th. So
Our next
we're missing
meeting is
November.
December 9th. Our next meeting is December 9th. And I will be leading that one. So stay tuned. Is there any other public comments or shout outs? I'll shout out to Twain and my son's teacher, Mrs. Olson, who may never know that I praised her. I've done it to her directly as well, but he's in third grade, general education, and she's amazing with communication. And we're just really pleased with everything as far as how she's teaching. So, yay.
I'll do a shout out. I had an IEP yesterday, so I should get extra points for coming to CIC after an IEP because we know that it takes time to recover from IEP prep. And it was a triennial. And I wanted to say that most of the meeting virtually with the team, especially the people who had been working with my son for years, it was really uplifting and enlightening to see, like, when I think having a team that really sort of sees and knows who your son is so important. And it's important that you feel that in every document, every report, that your kid is respected. And for the most part, that was reflected at the meeting, and we got all the supports that he needs. And you know, the fact that my kid hasn't completely fallen apart during this 7 months, that he's doing better than I am in the 7 months of quarantine, is a sign of his resilience. And so, he's at Los Cerritos, and we had a very productive meeting yesterday. So I have to give a shout out for them too. And I think that's it.
Yeah. Oh, there's just another comment to Ms. Garcia for taking the time to listen. I appreciate your genuine empathy with frustrations at the situation.
Dr. Simon, did you want to say anything to help close out our meeting?
So I just want to say this on behalf of the district, on behalf of the division or the Office of School Support Services. We always appreciate hearing from parents. It also helps guide our work. So we always just offer and open up the opportunity for our parents and guardians to express, right? Some frustration, some wins. We love to hear those, especially after a hard day of work. So I'm always just appreciative of being with our parents and guardians. You know me, I'm a community person. I like home visits. I like being with our parents and our community members. So I thank you for this time. And have a good night, you guys. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for coming.
And thank you, President Craighead, for staying on to the end. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Board Member Craighead's a fan of CAC. We appreciate you. It's so great to see you, Dr. Perillo. Thank you, Media Services team over there, and the translators and the interpreters. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. All your hard work. All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Have a great one.